Hello everybody, today I've got something a little bit different, not shoes. Today I'm going to attempt to repair this Bulova Accutron model 2192 watch. This watch actually came from my father, and it was the watch that he got for 25 years service working for the Goodyear tire rubber company in 1979. So this starts out as what appears to be a simple battery change and then really blossoms out of control from there. All right, so let's go. Hello everybody, it's Robert Powers. 4.5 out of 5.
My shoe collection.
These are made of shell cordovan. Can you tell the difference? Now here they are finished up. I'm not a professional. Look how tight this is though. Very clearly here, I just cut the thread in half. And here they are, all finished up. Just one word for the wise here, remember, this is not a how-to video anymore. I try to be careful if I say this is how-to. This is not a how-to. Again, you're going on a journey with me here to see what I can learn about watch repair. This is a very complicated field, but you know what? A bunch of people told me that I shouldn't get into cobbling either, and I did it anyway. So this has some value to me, obviously being my father's. And it's a nice, I don't have any other watches with a tan, a walnut colored, well, I guess this is more of a light brown watch strap. And I'm excited for this because this is going to go well with my light brown and walnut colored shoes. But at the end of the day, if I can't get it working, I mean, you know, this is not so valuable that, you know, if I totally screw this up, you know, what am I really out? I have everything to gain, in other words, and nothing to lose. Now, if you are a horologist, meaning a professional watch repairer, you're going to cringe. Just shut the video off, you know, or bite your tongue, because I can tell you right now I did a bunch of stuff wrong in this. I'm recording this after the project is already done. So, like I said, I'm not a professional, especially when it comes to this. So come along with me for the ride, and this should be fun. Okay, now I have the batteries that I need, and 344. The 344 is physically identical to the 343. The 343 is what was in there. 343 is the same as an Accutron model number 208 battery. The Accutron 208/343 was a mercury oxide 1.35 volt. Mercury's been outlawed, you can't get that battery anymore. So the 344 is physically identical to the 343, except it's silver oxide 1.55 volts. From my research on the Accutron 218, I think this is a second generation Accutron, should be okay. It's possible that the higher voltage could cause it to run faster, but we're going to find out. That's about where we're at. Let's get them put in. Battery, the guy at the store took this one apart, not me.
Swings out of the way.
Just dawned on me something I was screwing up, and I hope I didn't blow up the watch. The bottom line there, install with engraved side down and well. Success.
A photo of now, and these have little collets on them, hold them in place on the little posts, and both collets were to start with.
So now let me explain a little bit here. I went on NAWCC website. I'll link it here. There was a great thread in there about some common problems here with the Accutron model. And basically what it says is a very common problem is there is a two-part gear that basically has a friction fit between the two that allows you, when you're adjusting, you're setting the time one of the smaller gears to overrun the bigger one. That friction fit allows it. It's like a clutch. But it loses its friction when the center part of the gear freezes. It gets rusted to the post. Sounds like this is a very common problem, and it sounds like it's the problem my watch has. Holy mackerel. I found it. There it is. Holy crap. It's 2 wave washers is what it looks like. These tweezers are massive and oh god, there goes the second one. But it just flopped right over. These tweezers I got are massive in comparison to this washer. Give you a size scale. That's my fingertip, guys. What I'm trying to get to, from what I read, from what I've read, is that pinion gear supposedly is frozen on a shaft. You see these 2 bars there? That pinion gear and this gear are not one piece, they're 2 separate pieces. The post is attached to the base plate. And I guess this is a friction clutch. My understanding is this pinion can spin in here. Now, here's the center wheel, and I'm trying to diagnose if it actually is worn out. I'm doing a couple things wrong, though. First of all, the outer portion of the gear, the larger part of the gear, is locked in place because it's still attached to the transmission via a small gear that you can't really see under that plate, silver plate with the 2 screws. The center part of that pinion should be tight like it is, And it is tight, but for the wrong reason. It should be tight because it has a friction fit with those two bars that are kind of running almost horizontal. It doesn't turn though, not because it has the proper friction, but because it's actually frozen with rust to the pin in the center. So I'm actually misdiagnosing it here, but it is bad. So what the article said is that post gets corrosion on it, and I could feel the gear was not turning smoothly. So I'm going to clean it, oil it, reassemble it. Let's see what happens. To clean it, you know these microfiber cloths that you get every time you do a screen protector change on your iPhone? I'll use this with a little bit of brake cleaner, I think is what I'm going to use. I'm using the tip of my smallest awl. That's better. Looks like rust corrosion to me. Now polishing the side of this pin. Ooh, look at that. That was not shiny before. I think we're in good shape. So from what I've read, I think this is not good. See how I can turn the pinion. This is called a friction clutch. There's supposed to be friction, I think, between this, and there isn't. And I think that's bad. So I think either need to tighten it up somehow. One guy took a pair of needle nose pliers and squeezed on here, but I don't know if I can do that. Or just replace the center wheel assembly. This thing is called the center wheel assembly. Okay guys, something came in the mail from eBay. We're about to open it up here. Pen is here for scale. So what I've got is, even the part numbers are difficult to figure out. From what I figured out, this part number is 218D-579-2. Probably unnecessary information for 98% of you. So 218D, because the Bulova Accutron Series 218, and what mine is a 219, this is the same for both parts. So D is date. So what that means is this part is the same for any Bulova Accutron model number 218 or 219 that has a date or date and day. It's different for the Bulova Accutrons that don't have a date and or right now. There's several the differences between these things, among other things, there's different heights. So the 579-2, the -2 is 3.31 millimeters tall. The way I figured that out is I measured it with a pair of micrometers, converted it over. So there's a 3.75 millimeter, and I think there's a 2.81 millimeter as well. I think the 579-3 is the 3.75 millimeter, so you got to use the right one. And this is literally like a pill capsule. I think it's actually what it is like what you swallow, these pill capsules. Okay. I'm taking the tip of this to see if there's some friction. Oh, and there is. Okay. This gear does not want to turn easily. I think it should turn. There's supposed to be some clutch action, but I think we're going to go with this. Obviously, they're not in the same plane. They do appear the same. And just to let you guys know, here's obviously the, the watch. And then right above it here is the video, right? So I'm kind of like doing it da-da-da, looking at that, looking at this, doing it step by step. And you can see here my watch has one coil. You can see the one on the screen has 2 coils. That's the main difference. One on the screen has 2 coils. That's the main difference. But gear train, all that kind of stuff, they're very, very similar. Here's another little nerdy difference there. You can see here, this bridge here, it holds a jewel in. It's like a bearing. You see how it covers the gear? Mine, they cut it out so you can remove that gear and replace it without having to remove the bridge. So that's one of the other differences. And I ordered a new gear, by the way. This is the setting wheel. I ordered a new one. That's why it's in this little pill bottle, because I lost the first one. Remember, again, this is not a how-to video. I am a way amateur at this, and I probably am doing a bunch of stuff wrong. Okay, and there it is. Okay, by step. Wow, this is going to be difficult. So I got to make sure it's the right way. There's a chamfered side. I can barely see that. I think that's the wrong side. Oh shoot, it just dropped. It's slightly magnetic. Holy crap, that was difficult. If you inhaled, you could literally breathe this gear in by accident. Now, is the chamfered side up? That's what I can't tell right now. I think it's not. I think it's... Sometimes what I have to do is actually take a picture. Now I believe it's correct. Yep, that's definitely there. And by the way, I'm doing this over many different days here. So I already oiled, I may not have said this, I may not have shown it, but I already oiled where the minute wheel is going to go, and I did oil that post where I just put that the gear. So there it is. Let me grab it. Oops. Oh, look at that there, yes. That's definitely in place. Now, the instructions say to put on the setting lever. He's English, and what he calls it is a setting lever. Setting lever. That hooks up over there. So there's a hole that goes over the setting wheel. There, I'm trying to get that hole. There we go. And then kind of line up that screw. I'm doing all this, by the way, looking through the iPhone camera. Its stuff is so small, I really can't see it very well looking at it with my bare eyes. This has got, it's only 3x magnification, but it's enough. There. And I already put a little bit of drop oil. You can see the oil moving around. I already did put like a quarter of a drop of oil on that. Here's the hour wheel. And you can tell because this one has no teeth on the top part. It's got a post, so it's a double gear there. But on the top side, it just has the collar for the hour hand. This is kind of an interesting part. Don't know the name of it. This helps trip the date. The way this thing works, you see this end here fits into the groove, only allows movement forwards and backwards. And then as this gear turns around, when the nose of that pointer gets to that notch there, it'll bloop, it'll like trip this thing. You'll see. Hopefully you'll see. Apparently I missed this end. See what I mean? These drops are huge. I think this is called the date finger or date paw, something like that. I'm trying to even get it on camera here, my lord. And it goes on that stud there. Do you see there's like a, on the top right side of it, there is a faint tooth sticking out. All right, now I need to get my wooden dowel. Okay, now I have to put the spring on for that thing. The end of it goes in this hole right there. Okay. What has to happen now is that end of the spring has to hook over that nub right there. it fulcrums against that. It's in. It's in. Now the date wheel goes on, and he showed it being indexed. I noticed when I pulled this off, there's really, I mean, it's not captured well until the watch is put together, but so do you see that tooth goes between there? And on his, it's engaging down here. So I just double checked the video, and that end was on the wrong, that end of the triangular steel piece was on the wrong side of that nub. Now it matches his video. Still not engaging, but like I said, I believe that is because now that looks a little closer. I think that's because of the position of that arm. I think it will when it comes down. Next is the cover plate. Oh, crapple still skin. It's upside down. That little kick out on the center obviously clears the, I don't remember the name of it, but that other pinion sticking out there. Minute wheel pinion. There, I felt it snap into place. It indexes. And now there's 3 screws I gotta put on. These things are tiny, tiny, tiny. This tiny little spring, U-shaped thing. Long side and a short side, and apparently I have it backwards. Okay, it worked. So I put the crown in, just popped it in there. And so this is the hour wheel. This top gear here, right there, that just moved is the hour wheel. Under it is the minute wheel, which is connected to that shaft, and there's a pin in the center which drives the second hand. So what we're gonna look at here is this. This is part of that gear you saw earlier. That is the date trip wheel assembly. And then remember that cam, you know, this part right here is the same as this part. It's like a big triangular looking piece. And look at that here, it's got a little tooth. And you can see over here, I think this is called the paw finger. That's what I just put the spring, so that's indexed. So watch this, this is pretty cool. So I pull it out to the setting position. And you see, it would be turning this direction, right? This would be the direction that the second and hour hand would move. So you see the hour hand is going. Do you see that part of the cam is turning, turning, turning? It's not doing anything yet because we had to get to midnight. Okay, and here it comes. It's going to get close to starting to do something. So now it pushes us up against, remember that J-shaped spring, the end of this spring, right? So now it's loading it, it's pushing it out. Okay, now there, did you see that finger released? Okay, this one is This one is still engaged. Maybe I should zoom out just a little bit. And then watch. So what you're gonna do is just watch in here. This thing is gonna load and then pop, and then that tooth at the same time is gonna go pop and drag the date around. See over here, what would be a good thing to look against? I don't know. You can see the crown is between, the crown there's going between 27 and 28. Now I'm ready to watch it. See it loading. Here it comes, it's pushing it, and it's gonna snap and release. Do you see that foot, the tooth coming down? Here it comes. Boom. And now you can see the crown is between 28 and 29. That is pretty freaking cool. So right now I'm following along in a different video. I'll link it below, or here on the page in the video. And this is the DIY Watch Club, hour hand positioning and alignment checking. So what I'm doing is I'm advancing. I don't know if you can tell, see the center wheel? See the minute wheel moving there? I'm advancing it until the date transitions. So it's on 26. Boom, we're at midnight. Now that it's loose, pointing at 12 o'clock, we loosely attach. It says the hour hand sharply at 12 o'clock. This is the back side of the hand. It's not as nicely finished, and there is a protrusion. Do you see that? So it goes this way. I can't find the tip of the darn thing. Okay, I just pushed it a little bit more off camera. Now you can see where, this is so hard to see, the top surface here of the watch hand looks like it's pretty much even with the top surface of the hour wheel. I think I'm going to take a screenshot here and I'll blow it up. I'll zoom in on it. So apparently I did not video record the rest of this. So what you can see here in this next still shot is installing the minute hand. And you can see I'm also installing it at midnight per the directions, because then you want the date change to happen very close to midnight. Now you can see the top surface of the minute hand is even with the top surface of the collar, I guess, you know, of the minute wheel. And next photograph here is with the second hand installed. But this side view shows you that you want the hands above the surface of all the ornamentation on the watch face. You want them not too far up, not too far down, and I think that installation is pretty good. Now, so here is the original battery strap. It goes, this end of it tucks underneath the black plastic there, kind of like that. And there's supposed to be two tangs on it. The two tangs are supposed to clip around that post right there. And of course it goes across the battery. Well, I broke, it's kind of lumpy bumpy because I tried soldering to it, but point is, two tangs, I broke one, okay? So let me leave that there. So what I did, because I don't want to pay 25 bucks and wait 5 days to get another one, I just took a paper clip. This is just a paper clip, straightened it out, I smashed it flat, I measured that thing. It's about 6 thousandths thick, 6 1,000ths of an inch thick. Measured it with the micrometer I have from working on cars. And that is the flattened paper clip. Then I cut the end with the Dremel Moto tool and this little itty bitty bit here. And then I tried to put, see, a little bit of a bump in there. And I'm gonna find out if this thing, and I put a hole in it because that hole helps you grab it to install it. Oh, and then since this is low carbon steel, can you see there I put a little bit of solder for electrical conductivity. With a little luck, this is gonna pop around that post nicely. Oh, no way. That is pretty secure. Funny thing is, you see, I had to bump it. You got to give it a little tap to get it to start vibrating. You see there? It's turning. And I don't know if you can see it. But you can see the rest of the gear train is now turning. Fabulous. It works. I didn't screw it up too bad. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I've been literally spending hours on this. You know, I just do it a couple hours here, an hour here, 30 minutes there in the evenings. I've been putzing with this for weeks now, and I've made some mistakes, and I don't have all the video of all of it. I mean, the editing gets to be a nightmare, but the point is I did have to take it back apart a couple times. The one time I did not install the washers between the face and the hour wheel. And I also had to do a little touch-up work. I damaged the paint, believe it or not, on the hour hand. But in the end, I think it all worked out okay. As far as an instrument to tell time, a gentleman's watch really doesn't have that much purpose anymore. A smartphone does everything a watch does and much more with much greater accuracy. Well, there was a revolution about the late 1960s or early 1970s where you see the Seiko on the left. Do you see how the hand ticks, tick, tick? It's driven by a quartz mechanism. Quartz was the first electronic mechanism that made watches much, much less expensive. Now, here what I'm going to show you is pretty exciting. This was my grandfather, whom I'm named after. This is a Waltham model 1892 PS Bartlett grade movement 17 jewel watch. Do you see how that second hand moves smoother? It's got, I think, about 5 ticks per second. Well, when you really start getting into watches, which I've recently only gotten into, you see this balance wheel here. It's moving back and forth to distribute the power from a wound up spring inside smoothly over time. The point is, mechanical watches are actually very desirable today because they are not electronic. Now, in my mind, the Bulova Accutron, yes, it's electronic, but it's kind of a little bit of step in between both worlds. I mean, I do find that smooth movement, even though it's technically not smooth, I think it's actually moving at 320 tiny movements per second. It has the appearance of a completely smooth movement. I do find that mesmerizing. And it does have a cult following because of that. So I hope you enjoyed some of this, and dive deeper into watches. It's one of the last vestiges that a man has to really improve his wardrobe. I mean, I realize it's not useful, but neither is a tie either. So I really appreciate you guys watching this and going along the journey with me. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, go to my YouTube page, Robert Powers, and then click on playlists. And from there, you can go to things such as before and after videos, where you'll find a whole list of videos similar to this one.